Well, big news coming in after concluding more than 60 hours of a survey operation at the BBC's premises in Bombay as well as the national capital. The IT department has now issued an official statement explaining its actions and also its findings from the survey. Bhavtosh Singh has accessed that statement. Bhavtosh, take us through the details of what the IT department is saying about what it's managed to unearth during that 60-hour-long survey at the BBC's premises.
Well, Siddharth, without naming the BBC India and BBC, they have said that a survey was conducted, and they have said it's a survey, not a search or raid. They have unearthed certain misdeclaration of income by the BBC in India. They have further said that their investigation revealed that the income that was being generated by BBC here was not being properly reported. They have further said that the profit that was being generated by BBC India does not match with the income that was being declared here in India. This is a very big charge that has been leveled by the Income Tax Department. They have further said that certain transfer policy, which was in fact noted by the BBC, by Income Tax Department on day one itself, has been unearthed during the course of investigation. More importantly, Income Tax Department has said that it's an ongoing investigation. The investigation has not stopped. They have further said that the income that was in fact being generated by BBC in India here over a period of time was being misdeclared. Now, this is a very serious charge that the Income Tax Department has leveled. They further said that none of the employees were subjected to any kind of harassment or were being subjected to any kind of discrimination when these survey happened here in Delhi and also in Mumbai. This completely negates what BBC has said in two statements that were issued. They have further said that electronic gadgets were taken only for cloning. Now, the Income Tax Department generally does not issue statements so early in the day. This statement has been issued in less than 12 hours, and Income Tax Department has issued the first formal statement after conducting the survey within 60 hours.
Yes, let me take this across to Priya as well, my colleague. She's also got the statement with her. Priya, take us through some of the specifics of what the statement is pointing at with respect to the BBC's operations in India that now need to be scrutinized.
Right, here is the document that has been accessed by Bhavtosh, and as he was pointing out, it has rarely happened that an official statement comes out so quickly within 12 hours of the raids or the searches or the survey, as the department wants us to call it, have been revealed in the form of an official statement. Now, while Bhavtosh highlighted what were the discrepancies that were noted, let me tell our viewers what was found in the survey that happened in two offices of BBC in Delhi and Mumbai for over 60 hours. It says, the document here, the survey operation has resulted in unearthing of crucial evidences by way of statement of employees, digital evidences and documents which will be further examined in due course. This sentence here probably means that there are more such actions, more such surveys that might be lined up ahead for the BBC offices. It is pertinent to state, says the document, that the statements of only those employees were recorded whose role was crucial, including those connected to primarily finance and content development and other production-related functions. Even though the department exercised due care to record statements of only key personnel, it was observed that dilatory tactics were employed, including in the context of producing documents and agreements that were sought. Now, this is the part, Siddharth, which is going to be important, because remember, in at least 2 to 3 statements that have been released by the BBC right from the first one that came when the survey started, they have been saying that we are cooperating with the agencies, but the import of this sentence doesn't quite convey that.
Yes, let me take this back to Bhavtosh as well. Bhavtosh, this is something that was suspected earlier as well in the unofficial statement that had been released by the IT department and shared with the media, which is that the transfer pricing transactions of the BBC have been under scrutiny, and also the income that they're showing is not commensurate with their scale of operations in India.
Yes, Siddharth, in fact, the inventory of all financial records were taken by the BBC yesterday, both from Delhi as well as from Mumbai. This consists of 6 years of financial records, and they are going through it very minutely. And the very fact that income tax survey were conducted, in fact, generated a lot of controversy, not only in India, but also on foreign press. This survey has been, in fact, covered very extensively in foreign media, and that could be the reason why the income tax department has issued a statement, as you rightly said, within 12 hours. And this is the first official statement that the income tax department has come out. Income tax officials have also pointed out that the findings can be shared with other federal probe agencies. That could mean more trouble for BBC in India, because it clearly mentions that the income that was being generated and the profit that was being generated was not being in fact showing in the book of records. Now, this is a very serious charge that has been leveled by the income tax department, and let's wait and see how the BBC reacts, whether here in India or whether they react to this from London.
And Bhavtosh, just to follow up, Priya had read out a very important excerpt, and I'll just repeat that for the benefit of the viewers. The survey operations also revealed that the services of seconded employees have been utilized, for which reimbursement has been made by the Indian entity to the foreign entity concerned. Such remittance was also liable to be subject to withholding tax, which has not been done. So is this therefore pretty much an allegation of alleged under-invoicing, which is something that was also found out by the UK tax authorities when it was investigating the BBC in the United Kingdom?
Yes, been pointed out by several individuals, also about the manner in which the income is generated by BBC. Remember, BBC is a trust. It's not a profit-generating organization. It gets funds from the government. Here in India, it also takes content from freelancers. And as we have been reporting from day one itself, that's from Tuesday, that BBC has in fact increased its digital footprint here in India. It has a massive presence not only on electronic media but also across digital platforms. The question is whether the income that was being generated by BBC on digital footprint is being shown as an income. What BBC, in fact, what income tax department is saying, that the income that was being generated was not being shown in the book of records, and probably for that very reason, the inventory list or the of financial records have been taken in possession by the income tax department. And this clearly shows that this is not the last that we are hearing of the war that is happening between the government and BBC.
And Bhavtosh, care has been taken on the part of the IT department, at least in its statement, to ensure that due diligence has been followed, that all the procedures have been adhered to, because they have specifically mentioned towards the end of that statement that they have not tried to interrupt news operations. And as you brought to us last night as well, Bhavtosh, that the hash value, I'll just come back to you, Bhavtosh, in just a short while, but Amit Malviya is joining us from the BJP for his perspective on this. Mr. Malviya, it's a fairly comprehensive statement that's been put out by the IT department explaining the procedure that was adhered to, and also some scathing findings with respect to what they found out during the survey.
It was always the case, and let's not forget, this is not the first time that the BBC has been under the income tax radar. It has been the case even when the UP was in power, and clearly it appears that there are several instances of tax not being paid, incomes not being reported appropriately, and therefore the liability that the organization has towards the tax authorities hasn't been met. There are also issues of transfer pricing, which has been brought out, tax not being paid on remittances, or for that matter, inward foreign currency remittances that the organization has received. Now, these are glaring omissions which cannot be overlooked. And here is learning for the opposition that you should not jump before you have all the facts in front of you. The truth is that if you have to operate in India, you have to adhere to the laws, and you have to ensure that your filings and your paperwork and your regulatory compliances are complete. And the BBC has been a serial defaulter from what it emerges, and the agencies will do what is right.
Right. Mr. Malviya, a very quick follow-up, because the statement also says that it was observed that dilatory tactics were employed, including in the context of producing documents and agreements sought. And this while the BBC claimed that we will fully cooperate with the investigations. What's your take on the IT department's specific observation about dilatory tactics being employed by the BBC?
It's something that most organizations, when being questioned by agencies, do, because they naturally do not have the documents, or they do not have supporting papers to make their claims. And therefore, this observation is in line with what we see.
Okay, Mr. Malviya, many thanks. All indications are that the investigations are now likely to continue after the first round of surveys at the BBC's offices. We have to slip into a short break. Kritsween will take you through all the news and headlines on the other side.